Hey guys, Steve here. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be changing out a water pump in a 2012 Ram 2500 6.7 Cummins engine. If this video helps you out, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm going to include the products in the description below. Today with this job we're going to save ourselves around 600 bucks instead of bringing it to a shop. So put away your wallets and bust out your tools because we're doing it ourselves. Step one is going to be removing this air box. Remove both of these plugs. Remove this hose clamp. Yeah, a bunch of butterflies and crap in this. So we're gonna work on taking this fan out. We have 3 bolts, 1 bolt right here, 2 bolts right there, and then we're going to unplug that electrical connector and pull this fan shroud back and then pull that fan out. We got a couple tools from Napa for that 36mm bolt right there that we have to undo. So let's get it done. Since we're going to be removing the water pump, we gotta get the coolant level below that water pump pulley. So there's about 5.7 gallons of coolant in this system. It takes an HOAT type of coolant, and it's like 19 bucks a gallon here in Oregon. And so we're gonna try to salvage as much as we can. So the first thing you got to do is I'm going to open my radiator cap. There you go. Pop it up. And then underneath here, so I've got actually a little bit of a leak right there. Right here is going to be your coolant relief. So I'm going to put my little catch can underneath here. I'm going to unscrew this and then pull it straight out with the wrench, repair channel locks, and then drain about 3 gallons out, 3 to 4 gallons, and then I can start taking off that water pump. Be careful when you're undoing this radiator nut, whatever you want to call it. It will come all the way out, and as you can see it did on me and started spraying everywhere, and I had to kind of just grab that cap real quick and shove it back on. And so it looks like that is the flow rate that we're going to get out of this radiator. Now we're on to taking off the radiator fan. 13mm. We have 13mm on this guy. All 3 of these. Go ahead and remove this guy right here. Alright, for this plug, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But you got that little notch right there. You got to push down on the back of this side, I believe, to release that, and you just pull it out. I just pull it out with the bare channel locks. So I went ahead to Napa. You can rent these tools. This is a pulley holder, and this is a 36mm wrench that we're gonna need to use to get the nut loose off the fan pulley. So when you're removing the radiator fan shroud, you got 3 rivets. You got one right here, one right here, one right there, you got one right there, and you got one right here, and a 4th one right there. There's a rivet remover tool you can get on Amazon. I'll include it in the link description below. I don't have one yet, but I will buy one after this project because I'm sick of trying to get these out by a screwdriver and brute force. Typically these aren't supposed to be reusable because they typically break when you try to get them out. And this electrical connection real quick, it comes off with the fan, so it slides out just like that. Whoop. And so you want to slide that out before you, basically what I'm doing is I'm putting pressure on this pulley so it doesn't free spin with the fan. What I wish I would have done is not take the belt off first, let the belt on, because that pulley wouldn't be free spinning like this. There we go, fan is out. If you didn't take your box all the way out, make sure you move the side of this fan shroud away from that. But now, look how much easier that's going to be of getting that freaking belt on and tension pulley off and the water pump out. Oh yeah. This isn't, you don't have to take the fan off for this job, but if you want to save yourself a pain in the ass, that's what I recommend. I think you're going to save yourself hours of headache just by removing that fan, and the frustration of getting that belt on is going to be a lot less. Alright, so make sure when you're in here doing this job, you do a thorough job of checking things. Make sure you're wiggling your pulleys back and forth. There's like a minutest amount of slop in this. I think this just is an idler pulley. Moving back and forth. As you can see, this thing is supposed to be just rock solid. Look at that sucker. It's like an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch of plate in that. That's just ridiculous. So move everything back and forth, make sure everything spins freely. Take a look at your belt. Look at this belt, it has cracks. Can you see that? I got horizontal cracks. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. I can't tell for sure, but look at all those cracks in there. Those are definitely overdue to replace this belt. This water pump is going to be 2 10mm bolts. Boop, and just break them loose. This water pump is going to come right out. Alright, I was finally able to pry this sucker off with a 1/2-inch breaker bar. Got it behind the pulley and the housing, and after pounding on it for a while, it finally came loose. So. Here we are. Whew. How much crap just came out of that. This guy is just so fried. So the old gasket right there, you can see stuck to the housing, so make sure you pull that off. Get it nice and clean before you put the new one on. There we go. Easy peasy. While I have that out, I'm gonna go ahead and take off my tensioner pulley, because I got more access to it. So I just took off the tensioner pulley, and this guy's, you can hear it squeaking pretty good too. So I had, both of my pulleys were pretty much at the end. It looks like this one's already been replaced, Daco, once, so 258,000 miles and time to replace another one. Alright, so make sure when you're putting your new one on, this 1/2-inch hole is on the outside, the pulley's facing on the inside, and here's a little metal tang that's going to stick out, and it's going to sit into the block, so you make sure that you're lined up appropriately. New water pump goes in, make sure O-ring's there. You don't have to oil it up or anything. There you go, she just slips right on just like that. There it is. Nice. So one person can do this. Try to make sure all the belts are lined up before I release. Ah, there she is. Just be careful when you're putting your belt back on. You got this crank sensor right there. My belt was snagged on that, so if I would have started that up and the belt was snagged on that, I could have ripped the belt, and that would have sucked. Just make sure when you're putting that belt on, everything's sitting flush on all your pulleys. Everything's nice and clean. All your bolts are tight to spec, and now we're just gonna put the fan back on, put some radiator fluid back in it, put the airbox back on, and fire up, and hopefully she purrs. Alright, little tip when you're putting your fan shroud back on. There's a couple, I'll show them to you, slots. A couple slots you want to make sure you drop this guy into before you put your bolts on. That slot right there, and this slot right here. So see how the fan shroud sits into that guy? Make sure it sits into there before you go and bolt this thing back up. That'll save you the headache of bolting your fan shroud back to your radiator and then having to unbolt everything to get it back out and into the right spot. So hopefully that saves you the 15 minutes that I had spent doing that crap. So it is freaking cold out. Oh, here you got Central Oregon for you. Oh, it's beautiful. It's not the weather I want to do car work in since I'm from San Diego, but make do with what you got. After you're done getting your fan shroud back on, your fan back on, Tighten up your airbox clamp. Make sure you connect your electrical connectors. Pop these guys back on. Make sure nice and snug. Belt looks good. Time to fill her back up. Take the Allen head off that guy, and we're gonna fill up the radiator until it vents out the top of that guy. And that's how you know when you're full. Here, watch this.